Welcome everyone to Training Tuesday. It's Tuesday, February 13th, 2023. I'm Sam Rafoss. We're in Coach Connect Hub for, like I said, Training Tuesday. Today, I'm talking about cultivating optimism for coaching success. And most of the clients that I work with, whether it's new coaches or new business owners, the reason that I talk about optimism is because a lot of times new coaches are struggling with confidence or imposter syndrome. They're looking at others and thinking, you know what, I really feel like I should, be doing what they're doing. If you can remember back to the beginning when you started your business, how it feels sometimes. And when I would talk with coaches and try to explain that, if we come at life with optimism, it can make things a little bit easier. And then we get into the whole realm of, oh, sometimes everything isn't always roses. And, why do we always have to be so positive and happy? And so these are just the 5 keys, I call them, that I focus on when it comes to optimism that I have learned and practiced over my 20 years as an entrepreneur. So this is the reason why I love talking about optimism. And before we get going, let me get to the 5 keys. There we go. All right. Before we get going, sometimes people ask me a little bit more about me, and I'm just going to go through quickly here. This photo you see here is me and my 3 daughters. Yes, I'm a proud mom of my 3 daughters here and my grandson. This picture is actually almost 4 years old. My grandson is going to be 4 years old shortly. The reason why this picture is so old is my daughters, I always like to say they're very private and they don't like me sharing too much about them. This is one that I actually got them to be in a photo with me when I was doing some photos for my business a few years ago. And I actually have their permission to use this photo. So this is my world. So I always talk about I'm a mom and a nana. I'm a business coach. I'm a Fowler International Academy of Professional Coaching. I train new coaches through Fowler, which I absolutely adore being a part of that Fowler family. I'm a metaphysical teacher, host of Coach Connect Hub here on Alignable, an Alignable ambassador, the co-founder of Coach Engage, who I met my partner, my business partner on Alignable. And this presentation is through Coach Connect Hub on Alignable. And I am very passionate about Alignable, as you can see. And another thing I'm very proud of is I have been sober from my wine addiction for 3.5 years, and it was the healthiest and best decisions of my life in a long time. All right. So the first key to cultivating optimism for coaching success, and we always talk at least in my circles and the coaches I hang out with, is we talk about authenticity, like to really just embrace who you are. And even though I'm an introvert and I keep saying that to people, and sometimes people think, what, you're an introvert? Yes, I am. I have just learned how to talk to people and how to do business my way. And I might not be the guy with his arms up there and being the extrovert, more of the extrovert. However, this was such a great depiction for me as coaches. Sometimes we tend to want to blend in and go and say, I'm a life coach, I'm a health coach, I'm a business coach, and we will use those monikers. However, what attracts us with our clients is what makes us different. So embracing authenticity, whatever way it makes, what works for you. And for each of the 5 keys, I've got 3 sub points that I'm going to try and share and get through this presentation in hopefully not too much time, but to give you enough information that can help you out. All right. I'm always defined by my core values. I've always started out anything I do, whether it's a business venture, whether it's a personal venture, I have always learned to, when I'm guided by my values, I know that I'm going to make the right decisions. And when those values are positive, well, of course, my values are positive, but when I look at it in a positive light, that even if something is a setback or I feel not so happy about it, I can remember if I am authentically in my values, making whatever decisions that come from that, that I know I'm going to be okay. And to be genuinely positive in your own coaching style. That's another thing for coaches, is really digging deep into those core values, but also our coaching objectives, our coaching approach, our coaching style, what makes us unique, because that is who your ideal clients are going to be attracted to. It might not be everybody, but as somebody said earlier in a group I was in just recently, we want to save the world, but we can't. As coaches, it's pretty hard to save the world. However, we can help and guide the people that we can genuinely connect with through our coaching style and our coaching niche. And it positively impacts our clients when we are authentic and we just stand in that authenticity, embrace it ourselves. It positively impacts the clients that are attracted to us. So we get those ideal clients when we're feeling positive in who we are and what we offer. Innovation. This is one of my favorite ones, and this is, one of my strengths is innovative thinking. And I did not realize that until I actually did do a strengths assessment, and we'll talk about that later on. I'm getting ahead of myself. However, I thought it was just everybody did this. I always look for, what's new, what can I do differently. I don't typically like following the crowd. It's my personality. However, until I started coaching more and more, and then hanging out with other coaches and seeing what made us all different and unique, I didn't realize that that was one of my strengths, was looking at things from an innovative point of view. So when it comes to that, it problem solving. When we're coaches, whether it's helping for our own business or solving our own problems, or talking with other coaches or family, friends, depending on what type of problem that we're trying to solve, oftentimes we get stuck in the problem itself, and rather than looking at the solutions. And in coaching, we're always taught to be forward thinking, to be solution oriented. However, with an innovative, optimistic mindset, what I have found, we're more open as coaches to look at it more creatively. So in viewing what we do with an innovative mindset, we can take a look at problems and have more opportunities open to us the more that we look at creative brainstorming. Here, I've got a group here. That's why I love mastermind groups. If you've been in any of the mastermind groups on Alignable, whether it's the coaching mastermind, whether it's the women's mastermind, Sue's mastermind, there's many amazing masterminds on Alignable. And those are some of my favorite groups, because we fuel that creative problem solving and we look at things positively and optimistically. I love this one. Break down that wall, take that hammer. There's nothing that feels better sometimes than actually physically doing physical work. But this depiction is really one of the innovative strengths that has helped me over the years. And I think it started with my family, honestly. I think my parents originally were the originators of that, because when I was growing up, I would say on the farm in Saskatchewan, Canada. For those of you that don't know, I grew up on a farm, and with my parents, there was no challenges. No matter what problem there was, It wasn't, woe is me, what are we going to do? We can't figure it out. It was always immediately, okay, what opportunity is this allowing us? How can we look at this positively? And I can tell you, sometimes when I was a kid, I honestly thought my parents were crazy, because I would look at whatever problem was before us and I would think, how can they possibly look at this in a positive light? However, it was one of the best things that I found growing up in that environment is a challenge is just an opportunity to figure it out. One of my other favorites is always looking at coaching trends and developments. And we all have, whether it's a specific niche, whether it's a specific problem that we solve for a specific audience. I'm a big fan of that. What's the one problem you solve? Excuse me. What's the one problem you solve for your ideal client or help them? And what are the trends and developments in that to make you better at what you do? And when it comes to optimism and coaching success, it's not in the comfort zone. So being optimistic about getting out of that comfort zone, and you in whatever coaching niche that you are in, if you can look at whatever it is you're doing, or the coaching that you have done over the years and how you do things. And I've been there myself. Sometimes I feel like I'm a little bit complacent and do things as I've always done them. Whenever I challenge myself, whether it's myself doing my own daydreaming or journaling, whatever it is I'm doing, or if I, check in with some colleagues, if I put myself out of what I'm typically doing and look at it from a new, fresh angle with innovation, with looking at the trends. And I'm not saying you have to adopt every trend that's in your coaching niche. However, be aware. That is what has helped me. I may not use everything, but that awareness of what's going on in my coaching industry or in my niche, and looking at it again from that positive, optimistic point of view of how can this help me, or how can I help others with whatever new trends and developments there are, and always getting out of the comfort zone. Number 3, I think in every presentation I do, I have some sort of key point on looking at everything from that strength standpoint. Strength-based positivity is for this key because we're talking about optimism. So I'm trying to keep everything on the topic of today, but strength-based positivity starts with identifying your strengths. So whether that is with a strengths assessment, or if you have done another personality test, I love all of the different ones. I have my strength assessment. I've done Myers-Briggs, DISC, Enneagram. I probably could name off a few more. All I know is each time that I take these personality tests, and we can take some of it, and we don't have to necessarily agree with everything that test tells us. What it does for me is giving me the information, and then I get to say yes or no to one. I may or may not agree with it. A lot of them are right on for me, to be completely honest. I will read them, or I'll go through what the summaries that they give, and I think, that's pretty accurate. And I use it to guide me as positive and optimistic ways of using my strengths to help me. So instead of focusing on that, I mean, we all know the things that we don't do well. As a species, we're hardwired to focus on what didn't go right. We're hardwired to focus on the negative. And I had asked that question in another group a few months ago, and we were pondering it, and it really does come down to that base level of it's a fight or flight thing. It's a biology thing that in whatever days when we really had to look for the alarm bells in order to save ourselves, that's what's hardwired in us. Well, nowadays we don't have the same threats to our health and wellness, that we can look at things differently. However, it's still hardwired in us. So to change our thinking, to look at the world through a positive, optimistic, strength-based approach, it takes concerted effort. So this is why I do love talking about it. Positive mental attitude. If you have read Napoleon Hill's Think and Grow Rich and watched any of his videos and any of his materials, that will resonate with you. Napoleon Hill was famous for saying, whatever it is, you need a positive mental attitude. So every time I'm talking about this, I try to fit in that whole idea of it's not only telling ourselves to focus on our strengths or be optimistic or be positive. It comes down to our attitude as well. And that's a little bit different than focusing on your strengths. So it's that innate positive mental attitude that makes a difference as well. Strengths. What are you doing to build your resilience? So as a coach, as a business owner, it's a lot. It's a lot, and I enjoy it. I love being a business owner. I love being an entrepreneur. No matter what, I would rather work for myself and build my own castle than work for a corporation. I was never one that was good working for someone else. It didn't work well with my personality. So when I became an entrepreneur, it was good for me. However, I had to learn all of the different facets of actually owning a business and going through those ups and downs and the feast and famine and everything that comes along with being a business owner and a solopreneur. Optimism some days was hard to cultivate. However, in building that resilience muscle, that bounce back, what do I need to do? There's always a way. There's the flower coming out of the sidewalk every time I see those types of depictions, or the tree coming out of the rock, or the roots growing around a tree. There's so many different visuals and analogies that we can think of for resilience. As a business owner and as a coach, that resilience muscle is one of probably, for me anyway, the resilience muscle took a lot at the beginning, and practicing that. Maybe not as much now that I'm 20 years into my business and I've built some of those muscles, and it's a little bit easier to bounce back. However, I still, this is a big part of my repertoire. What resilience can I build into what I'm doing? Because I'd rather be doing what I'm doing than anything else. So that's part of the journey. All right, number 4, we're getting to number 4, and I know I'm going through this quickly. However, I like to get to the questions and the discussions after this. Your unique value. Develop, create, focus on your unique value. And that does come with cultivating optimism for your coaching success. Because again, it comes back to focusing on what makes you different. We're all, health coaches, life coaches, business coaches, executive coaches. However, in that, what makes you unique with who you help, because that is who is looking for you. Most of our clients, they're not just looking for the generic life coach, health coach. They are looking for the individual that is the perfect coach to help them solve their problem. And oftentimes I will sit and daydream. I will sit and daydream. You could talk another long time metaphysician, mystic, whatever you want to call him. If you are familiar with Neville Goddard, I listen to his YouTube all the time and listen to his books, and I just think he was a man before his time, and it's so fascinating how he talks and shares his stories of all of the different ways to visualize and live in your imagination in order to create what you want. And when that comes to optimism and your unique value, it truly is coming down to visualizing exactly what you want to the finest detail. And I just can't say enough about that, because I think we overlook, and again, these are my opinions. I'm just sharing my opinions and my experience over the years. But the more that I focus on what I do want, the more I focus on that positive feelings. What would it feel like to have what I dream about? What are the feelings about that? Sitting back, visualizing, daydreaming, what is unique about me, and what is unique about the goals that I want for my clients, for my life, for my family. This exercise alone has been a game changer for me. And I'm a big one on plan, implement, evaluate, improve. And I love committing to excellence. It's one of my values for my business. I like to commit to excellence, not perfection. I used to be in that perfection mode years ago. I wouldn't, that afflicts many of us, whether it's coaches or entrepreneurs. Analysis by paralysis, uh, perfection mode. Oh, I'm just going to do one more thing. I've got to make it better. I don't want to, put it out there until it's more perfect. I used to be stuck in that early on. And as you can imagine, not much work gets done, not much money gets made. Let's just say at the beginning of my coaching career, I was the broke healer. I was the I was a great coach. I was a great nutrition teacher. I was really good at what I did. I just didn't make too much money because I was always fixing things. I didn't want to put it out there. I didn't want to charge people because I had to make it better. However, that does not help us or our career, and it didn't help me with my optimism and positivity, because I hid behind that getting ready to be ready to be ready. And once I realized that I could either go ahead and do things and implement and improve, and I could make some money, then that kind of made a difference. That I I I found it that I enjoyed that much more to practice it that way than to worry about being perfect. So I still like to be excellent at what I do, but this this way for me worked a lot better. All right, I digress. Uh, Niche mastery, we know that's going to be in there when it comes to your unique value. And not only, I know I call it niche mastery, it is even deeper than that. It is you could call it subject matter, you could call it your unique problem or your unique audience that you serve, when it really comes down to that ideal perfect client. If you are the subject matter expert, your expertise, your knowledge, your experience, your unique value, and what you're putting out there, and you can display that, and you are working with individuals that you are helping in that unique way, then clients are happier, you're happier. So that raises obviously your optimism and your success. So, all right. Number 5 on the last one, the last key, creating that positive impact loop. When we're talking about optimism, of course, we're talking about positivity. And I think it was, I don't know, it was a few years ago, and I was teaching a group, and one of the gentlemen stuck up his hand and he said, "Are you always happy? Is everything always butterflies and rainbows and roses?" And and I jokingly said, "Of course, I live in the land of unicorns and rainbows because I choose to. I choose to. It is not that nothing goes wrong in my life. However, I choose to look at what's going right. I choose to be optimistic. I choose to look at the glass half full, and I surround myself in that positive impact loop." And what does that mean? Starts with that positive thinking. Everything that happens in our life is what we think about. And you can say all the euphemisms that we've all heard, different ones. You bring about what you think about. Our thoughts create our reality. Zig Ziglar used to talk about stinking thinking doesn't get you anywhere. And the whole point that I want to make about positive thinking, and this just comes to another discussion that I was having, is, someone was saying, "Well, I've tried that and it didn't work. I did affirmations. I did all these things that, the books say, or if you've read You Can Heal Your Life by Louise Hay, and she talks about different things about how positive thinking and different exercises you can do, journaling, affirmations, whatever it is in those positive affirmations, or other exercises. The whole key point is to remember, so many thoughts are going through our head every single day, thousands and thousands and thousands of thoughts. Some of our thoughts have been with us since we were younger than we can remember, and those are the seeds that have been planted. You can use the analogy of the garden. Those are the seeds that have been planted in our mind. So that's the garden. And if it's a thought that you don't want to think, it's not like it's going to change a thought that is an automatic, subconscious, long-held thought or belief just because you want to change positive thinking, or 10 repetitions of a positive affirmation, or journaling a happy story for 1 month consecutively. It may or may not work, because you could have had this thought that has been repetitive in your mind for 100 times that. So we have to remember that some of these thoughts have to take, well, they do take time. And I don't want to spend a whole bunch of time on this one slide, but that's the point that I'm trying to make is, yeah, sometimes positive thinking doesn't feel like it's going to change anything, but it's the repetition. And the other analogy that I can use is, if you start to work out and you go to the gym, for 1 week and you do bicep curls every single day, and then wonder why you don't have biceps that can win a national championship. It's the same analogy. People that work out and win those types of championships, or look like they do with their healthy muscular bodies, this has been daily habits of exercise, eating right, putting all of those factors together. It's the same way with our thoughts. So just making that point that positive thinking, it starts there, but it is the habitual thoughts that we have that make the difference. So anyway, I think I've gone on and on about that one enough. And spend time with positive people. We've heard it before. I think Jim Rohn talks about, you're the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. So if you're trying to be positive and optimistic and uplifting, and you want all of these qualities, if you're spending time with people that are different than that and are looking at the world differently than you are, it takes a toll on you. And some of these people may be the closest family and friends we have, and none of us can make the decision for another person. However, we are the ones that get to decide who we want to be and who what positive outlook or what optimism we want for our lives. So if we've got people in our lives that are a little bit negative and we don't necessarily have the opportunity to not be around them, what are some things that you can do, or what are some other people that you can be around, or what can you do to help fulfill more positive people in your life? So look at ways that you can get more positive people, because it does rub off. And your optimism positively influences others. For me, most of the time, absolutely, I live in that rainbow positive optimism world. The odd time when I am having an off day, or I'm not feeling as positive, or maybe some of those obstacles came and, it feels like, oh, not something else. And we're having to deal with, at least personally, if I'm having to deal with a whole bunch of obstacles at once, the first thing that I do is think, okay, who can I contact? Who do I need to be in touch with that I can get them to rub off on me, because I don't want to stay in my pity party too long. I might have to look at my problem or assess it and, look for creative ways to problem solve or reach out. But the next step that I'm going to look for is, who am I going to get that optimistic, positive, loving energy from? And that's it. Those are my keys that have worked for me over the years that I just wanted to share with you. So to recap quickly, 5 keys for optimism in your coaching and to cultivate your coaching success: embrace your authenticity, focus on innovation, look at strengths from a positivity point of view, look at your own strengths, develop your unique value, look at what your strengths bring and what's unique about you to attract others, and create your positive impact loop. And that's it. And if you would like to get a hold of me, then you can contact me there. And I'm hitting end record. Where are we?